Hey, everybody, it's your girl, Miss Ursula from Keeping It 100. We are here tonight. Our guest has not showed up yet. She'll be here shortly, but we wanted to go ahead and give you guys what we're going to be talking about tonight. Our guest is Monique Green. She goes on Facebook by Monique Mo'Vybe Green. She is an entrepreneur. She has her own business. She's also a spoken word artist, and she's going to be joining in about later on after that with our own topics if we have enough time after we get her interview done. And so, but yeah, before we bring her on, we're just going to kind of update you guys on what's going on. Keep it 100. It's kind of going back and forth between in studio and our own studio or on the radio station, and we're doing virtual. A lot of our guests are not in the local area, so when we are doing virtual videos like this and interviews, it's because that person is not in our city. That's why we do virtual like this a lot of times when you see us go live on Facebook, which is not a big deal. That's what we use net technology for a reason. Also, we do have upcoming elections. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. I am here to tell you to be informed and not listen to rhetoric, not listen to promises. You need to look at that person's track history. You look at what that person has done, is trying to do. Just be informed about your vote, because your vote does matter. Some people say it does not. Everybody has their own beliefs. But in a system that we are in, voting, if it doesn't matter, hey, we will never know. That's other people's opinions. I do believe my vote matters. I believe all of our votes matter. Our election system could be a lot better, but it's not. So, we'll get to that. Other than that, for anyone that's still interested in the Viking cruise, please hit me up on Facebook. We do have a couple of cabins left. We set sail on October the 28th through November the 2nd. We're going to Ocho Rio and Grand Cayman. We will have a meet and greet there. So everybody can get to know each other, classmates that haven't seen each other in a long time, new faces. We have friends that didn't go to Connolly, but they're welcome to join us. We have a couple cabins left. You have until October the 28th in order to get your cabin. Okay. We have different cabins. There are different cabins available: ocean view, balcony, and inside cabins. So, but yeah. Is that Houston? Are you gonna be behind the scenes, Houston? He's gonna be behind the scenes. Okay. So other than that, Keeping It 100 does have an upcoming show. We're gonna have trap artists, what they call the trap rappers. We have three. We're gonna be coming onto the show. A lot of people do not really, older people don't really get the whole trap movement. I don't, but having kids in that era, I did have to kind of join in and, understand what they're saying, why it came about. So we have three artists that hail out of Columbus, or Cleveland, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, that area. And that's going to come onto the show and talk about, why they became a trap artist, what it entails, being underground. They have their own music. They don't have to worry about labels. They book their own events. So we're going to be talking to them and listen to a couple of their songs. So, trap rap can be kind of sensitive. So we want to monitor, what we do play for you guys. We want to give you authentic rap lyrics, but we want to also make sure that, we're not crossing any boundaries. We do have children that may listen to this show. We don't want to offend anyone. So kind of, a little medium between the two about what we can and cannot do. Also, we do have, I'm interested in talking to Um, I think is Kobe Williams. He's actually a relative of mine. He he's an artist. He does sing. He's trying to bring a lot of the events that he's doing. I think he's down in Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. Trying to bring that information and the things that he's doing there back up to our local area in Greenville. And so we're looking to have him on. I did see a post that he made about how he brought that to the forefront in Atlanta and the great things that he was doing there. Um, he's trying to bring it to Greenville. So, of course, we will be hopefully talking to him and hoping that he will share, what he's trying to do to us so that we can, promote it and have people come out and enjoy what he's doing. Also, Keeping It 100 will be, hopefully, we're going to be in Rocky Mount, let me give you the place. It's called St. Mark's AME Church on 1150 Tarboro Street. That is in Rocky Mount. We will have Prophet Lewis Smith. He's doing a outreach ministry, the Nehemiah Walls Outreach Ministry. He's going to be doing a event for Bishop Elton Powell, a friend of mine. He's going to be doing a service for him on August the 17th and the 18th. Keeping It 100 is going to try to be there for the 17th. We're going to do a couple of interviews there. We're going to talk to hopefully the prophet himself, get a couple of shots and videos so that you guys can see what's going on. If you're able to, of course, that service is going on in the Rocky Mount if you're in their area. Let's see else. What do we have going on? 1 second. Okay, we're just waiting on one of our co-hosts to join. He's actually live in Flint, Michigan right now at an event there. He will be joining us and giving us some information about they have old school cars out on the street. We're not sure why they have old school cars out in the street, what event is going on, but we are looking for him to join us shortly. What else does the Keeping 100 have going on? Okay, our artist tonight, Monique Green, she does hail out of Greenville, North Carolina. We're having problems with a connection problem with some people who are trying to join. I do apologize for that. We're definitely working and trying to get this off the ground and running a lot more smoothly. But let's see here. We're going to be talking about Monique. Let me give you a little insight about Monique real quick before she joins. And she can definitely give us more insight about what she does in her business. But she is called I cannot pronounce it. It's ELEV8 New LLC. She does she's a talk show host. She's an MC, she's an event planner. She's also a Mary Kay beauty consultant. She's a speaker and spoken word artist. We're going to be talking to her shortly. What else? Keeping It 100. We do have a couple of other events that we have planned. I know VMG Marketing, or I'm sorry, Houston Vines. Yeah, he will be doing an event this weekend, a wedding out in Greenville, North Carolina. I don't have the details of that, but good luck with that. And whoever is getting married, congratulations. We are. Give me 1 second. So we're having some issues connecting everybody. We may have to disconnect and come back. I'm getting some errors on people trying to join and they're not able to join. In just a moment. But if you want to join, click the link on my Facebook page and it will send me a notification. You can go ahead and join and we can talk to you, and you can give us any kind of topic that you want to talk about tonight. Before Monique comes on, or after she does, we finish our interview with her. If you do have something that you want to talk with Keeping It 100 about, let us know. Let me see this. I have my producer talking to me. Give me one moment. Okay, so before they join, we're waiting for them to try to him to try to get everybody in. I will talk about a video I just recently saw of a father who embarrassed his son because the son didn't want to stay with him for the weekend. He wanted to stay with his mother. Now, the thing about videos on social media, they don't give us a lot of content. They show us the video. We don't know what happened before. We don't know what happened after. We don't know the person, you know, what happened in that dynamic in that relationship. However, in my take of it, he was upset because his son didn't want to stay with him for the weekend. He'd rather be with his mother. And so he decided to take to social media and embarrass him and talk about, his mother, he's being soft and things like that. And the problem that I had with the video, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to play the audio so that you can hear it. And if you have any opinions, just let me know. I think the reason why Keeping It 100, the reason why we started this was so that everyone can give their take. It's not about my perception. It's not about anyone else's perception. It's for us to come together and either agree to disagree or find some kind of common ground. That's the only people going to ever want to get along or understand each other, especially about relationships and things like that. So let me play this video. I'm going to play the audio for you. Give me just a moment. One second.
Listen up. I want the world to see this person right here. This is my son. People, I ain't never heard nobody talk about this, so let me be the first one, because I know I can't be alone. This boy is 12 years old. I've been in his life, all his life, except for the times that when his mama kept him away. You know, this boy had the nerve to say he don't like me and don't want to come to my house, and that he missed the times with his family, speaking of his mama family, and not his daddy's side of the family, like we don't exist, right? So he said this is taking up time. He said the 2 days that he spent over here felt like a whole week. And then he's not even looking forward to the 30 days he has to spend over here for summer. He said he don't want to come over here at all. Like, I'm a bad person. Like, I've traumatized him and did anything wrong to this little boy. We have done so much stuff, so much fun things. Spend time together, play basketball together, go amusement parks, go swimming, take riding in toys like this. And he had a nerve to choose his mama. Look at the camera, Gabe. Choose his mama over me like I'm around here treating him wrong. What kid don't want to be around their daddy? Please tell me. And as a daddy, it's hurt because I know his mama got something to do with it too. But still, he's old enough to make his own decisions. And he chose his mama over his daddy, his flesh and blood. Somebody that can teach him how to be a man, but you want to be up on a woman all day.
Here we are.
The camera, Gabe. Tell people how you don't love your daddy and how you rather be with your mama and time over here boring and you don't want to spend time with your daddy. Tell people how you don't want to spend time with your daddy. And you have like, I haven't been picking him up all these years. Like, what is the problem? Like, it's not your first time at my house. But yeah, he hurt my feelings, world. He really hurt my feelings. And you can't take that back, Gabe. I'm going to give you what you want, and I'm going to erase myself out of your life. I'm going to give you what you want, Gabe. That is so messed up on so many levels. You know, I would never tell my daddy nothing like that. My daddy was in my life. I would never tell my daddy, because I know that would hurt my daddy's feelings. I would never tell my daddy nothing like that. Ever.
Okay, so my other co-host did join. We do have a difference of opinion about this particular video.
Oh,
so Maurice, I'm gonna give you about 2 or 3 minutes. I want you to go ahead and give me give everybody your take on that situation.
Yeah. Well, okay. So a father, men and women are two different species. I've said this over and over and over again. And a father has to raise his son to be strong in this world, especially for black children. Black boys need to be raised as men because we're seeing a steady rise of non-black men. They have to be strong. You have to have fathers like that who spend time with their kids, show them the good and the bad. Yes, he needed to embarrass that boy. He's a 12-year-old kid, and just look at how he's looking and acting. He's acting like, oh well, and got this thing on his head, wants to be up under women all day. It shouldn't be that way, and the father has spent time with him and everything, but 90% of the time, and I'm saying this because I've seen it 90% where the mother does not treat, they talk bad about the dad. And most times fathers don't say nothing about the mothers and everything, but after a while they do. But
Okay.
I think that's my 2 minutes.
So, first of all, well, want to first of all welcome Monique to the show, aka is it Mo Vibe?
Mo Vibe, how are
That's
you?
a whole sentence all by itself, and I can't wait for you to tell me how you came up with that. But I don't know if you heard the audio that I played before you came on, Monique. But it was a video I posted not long ago about a father who went to social media recording his son, kind of embarrassed his son because his son would rather go back home and be with his mom, and told him he didn't want to spend the weekend with him, and that he'd rather be there. So the dad was upset, and he started talking about how um, he was acting soft, and that being around wanting to be around a woman all day long. And Maurice just expressed that he thinks he had a right to embarrass him, and the boy's only 12 years old. Okay.
Okay.
And my opinion was, one, no, he did not have the right to embarrass him. That's not a conversation that he should have did on social media. It's a conversation he should have had with that boy, and if need be, that woman, the mother, if he felt like it was because of something that she was saying. But social media is where these kids live and breathe in today's society. And to
Yep.
embarrass him on in a video that his peers and other people are going to see who probably know him, it just adds fuel to a fire that most kids don't want to have to deal with in today's society.
Right.
And the thing is, now when he said we do things fun, a lot of times we as parents, and I was being guilty of this, would want to do things with my kids what I thought was fun, that I would plan and do all this stuff for, and they would do it, but I could tell that they were not enjoying themselves as though I thought they should. And so I would get a little, irritated and upset and thinking, I just spent all this money, I did all this stuff, and it's like, Mom, we really don't, like this, or we don't want to do this. And so I had to understand that when what I thought was fun was not what they thought was fun. And so I had to
Understood.
give them input on what you guys want to do. Now, don't get me wrong, what they wanted to do, I didn't particularly want to do. But when it's called building a relationship with my children, you have to kind of do a give and take. So now they'll do stuff with me because they know I'm going to do their stuff with them.
So we can draw from our past, right? Because it sounds like you drawing from your past.
No,
Hey, Monique, how
I'm
you
drawing
doing?
from the right now. I'm drawing from I'm still learning every day about how to deal with my children. It wasn't until
Hmm.
my son turned 18 and moved away
Uh-huh.
that he had to come home and tell me that the way I did certain things growing up, he didn't like. Like,
Okay.
he didn't, the way I would talk to him or tell him to do stuff, and I would yell or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm not a person who's gonna yell all the time.
All right.
So my take on it is, if I'm yelling at you,
Mm-hmm.
then I've already asked you 2 and 3 times to do something.
Right.
And if you don't want to be yelled at, then guess what you do?
Right.
Do it the first
You do
time.
it the first time.
That's right.
And so and I told him, I said, I understand that. If you felt some type of way, I apologize. But
Hmm.
if I asked you before to do it and you didn't do it, then
Yeah.
guess what? That's the result,
Hmm.
you know? And
Right.
so, yeah, it's about learning your children. Now,
You
Monique, I
did.
know
You
we're
did
going to
right
get,
by explaining. You did right by it. When he said to you, when he came to you and said, "Hey, look, I didn't like it and stuff like that." Well, you got to realize, does he have children?
not yet. Who?
Okay, then when he has children, then he can that conversation that he had with you is gonna come back to him, and
But
then he's
guess
gonna be
what?
like, he's gonna apologize. No, he's
Mm-hmm.
gonna come back and apologize to
Yep.
you, and he's
Yep.
gonna say, you know what, mom, I didn't understand it until I actually had children of my own. He
Mm-hmm.
says, and I need to retract what I said to you. You were right for what you did
Mm-hmm.
because I learned from that, and I had to draw on that. So give it some time.
Oh, yeah.
He's still got great. He How old is he?
He'll be 21 in October.
Okay, see, yeah, he's gonna learn when he gets older and he has children of his own, and it's gonna hit him, and he's gonna like, oh man. He said, and it's gonna really bother him. He'll probably bring you a thing of roses to apologize for what he said to you.
Well, let me tell you this. Let me tell you both of you this. And I know we're going to get into Monique because Monique, I know you can relate. You have one in high school right now, correct?
Yes, and I have 5 children altogether, and three of
Okay.
them are grown.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
out the house. You
Yes.
got one left in the house after this one?
I have no, I have two in the house, a 13-year-old daughter, a 15-year-old son, and I have a
Okay.
21-year-old son, 23 and 24-year-old daughters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Hey, hold up real quick. Monique, did you used to live in Winterville?
No, but I know who you're talking about. There's
Yeah,
another Monique Green that has a brother named Melvin.
that's
I'm the
right.
one from
Yeah.
Rhymesland.
Grimesland.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
And see,
Yeah.
and I talked to my sister who actually recommended that I get Monique on the show
Hmm.
because evidently Monique and I are related somehow.
Oh, okay.
Because you're a Green out of Grimesland, right?
I am.
I'm a Moore out of Grimesland, kin to the Daniels and all of them people. So
I always thought that was that story, Ursula. I always thought that was that story. I could never connect the dot, but I heard we were connected.
yes, definitely, definitely. But Monique, what is your take on? And I know they say grandkids are a parent's best revenge. Because once I had children, I'm like, I love my mama, I love my daddy, because
They
Lord
are.
knows I can only imagine how they felt with me growing up. So, what is your take on? I mean, that kind of situation.
I would definitely say grandchildren are a joy. I have my 21-year-old son has a daughter that was born first, who was born in June,
Hmm.
like June 27th, and then my 24-year-old daughter had a daughter that was born in September 30th. So they're 3 months apart. So I had a double whammy at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And it's funny. It's amazing to watch them grow. One of them lives with me now, and I see opportunity for me to invest and do some things differently. Just seeing how she is with her see how my daughter is with my grandbaby.
Mhm.
But I'm constantly reminding them like I see you in them too. Like, so you can't beat it out of them. And I see me, I say you can't beat it out of them. But
Mhm.
I would probably, this is so crazy that you actually are asking me about children because I think I need another class. I need a class. Like these
Mhm.
adult children, I really I've had some interaction with other parents most recently who were saying that it's not just you. There is this generation that has this idea that we need to apologize to them for parenting them the best way we could based on
Mhm.
how we were taught, and some of them have a problem with it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
again, as Tobias, did I get that right?
Yes. Yes.
As Tobias was expressing, now that my oldest daughter has a child, she has sometimes apologized. Like, did I do this to you, mom? And then
Mm-hmm.
it has me going to my mama and saying, did I do this to you? My mom said, girl, no, because I would have killed you about your bad life. No, but it's like, I mean, but it's like the morals and values that we were raised upon. We
You got muted. Okay, there. You came
Can you
back.
hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry
Yeah. Yeah.
about that. I think my AirPod is going in and out, and I might
Okay.
just disconnect. But the values and morals that we had growing up, as far as the respect for parents, what to
Mm-hmm.
say, what not to say, is definitely. I know I did teach it to my children, but the era that they're in doesn't support the foundational teachings that I gave them. So the social media outlets for them to be blasted or to blast, because I've seen where not only parents have done it publicly, but also the children have blasted their parents, whether it
Mm-hmm.
was true statements or untrue statements. It's
Exactly.
worldwide news. And I cannot say that either is right. From my personal opinion, I was raised country. And
Yeah.
anybody know what Groundsland is?
Yes.
That's where you go house to house and pass out eggs and flour, and we okay with that. And
Right.
you used to could sleep with the doors open and things like that. But if the rule was what it was, you didn't mouth back, you didn't disrespect. When they
Mhm.
said hush your mouth, you shut it then, because you
Right
knew right
there.
after that your mouth was gonna get sideways. Like, you just didn't
Exactly.
play with the respect of, but of the parents. And I came from a two-parent household, Christian based, church every Sunday. And my mom and dad didn't play, and I didn't try to. I remember the one time I tested it, and I remember it vividly. Let's say it that way. And I mean, there were times, in growing older, and I was very opinionated, but I was more opinionated in school than I was to my
Mhm.
parents.
Yeah.
And I just watched how I had this high regard for my mom. And not to say I took it away from my dad, but dad was dad. That's
Yeah.
dad. But
Yeah.
there was this tenderness, this queen like effect to mom that dad even supported, that you didn't rock that boat. And
Yeah.
so now today, when I see the children and how they respond to each other and to adult figures and to their parents, I'm definitely appalled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
My children were raised old school,
Yeah.
but they have come back and said things that they didn't like, and I stuck with my guns for the
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
most part to say I did what I thought was right at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that I was honoring God. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that I was doing the right thing. And I'm not going to apologize for that.
And especially if you
Now,
come,
if I,
if you're coming from a place of love, of respect, of wanting to do the best for your children, I don't think you should apologize for that. I think that, I told my son, I was like, I understand what you're saying, and I'm sorry that you felt, you know, a certain way about it.
Mhm.
But growing up the way that I did, and that growing, bringing me into the person that I am, and I consider myself a genuinely good person.
Mhm.
I respect my elders. I respect people. I don't care what color, race you are.
right,
I don't have a problem with you unless you got a problem with me.
right,
Mhm.
And then we can just either stay out of my space, I'll stay out of yours, and we never got to talk about it. But you know, I told my son at the same time, I'm your mama. You're my kid.
Mhm.
Now, if you ever want to step out of the kid's place, please know you got the right mama for that situation.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because I
Yes.
am definitely half of my mom, that queen that honored her household, honored her husband, took care of her children, cooked a meal every day. I am from that generation, that kind of mom. I'm from a dad who went to work every day, who took care of his home, who took
Mhm.
care of his family. So I'm from that generation. Now,
Right.
my kids at one point did have a two-parent household. They didn't for the majority of their growing up, but their dad was definitely present, you know.
Right.
But you're not gonna take away, you know what I'm saying, from the knowledge that I got from growing up with the parent that I have, bringing it to you because now I see my son who now with his little sister, you know, and I will say because they're so close now, if I have a problem with her and I see that, you know, the talking ain't gonna do it, the yelling ain't gonna do it, the grounding, you know, now she's not a bad kid. She's one of those procrastinators who slow to get everything done as far as school and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So now I go to him. I'm like, I'm gonna need to talk to your sister because she got the last option, and you know what I'm talking about. Before, you know, she better get herself together. He'll come home or he'll call her on the phone and talk to her. Next thing I know, mom, such and such is done. I turned this in. I did this. I did that. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, your brother saved you that time.
Mm.
Maybe
I,
they're talking on a level that, you know, I'm not on that level.
mhm.
So I do utilize him and other, you know, her older siblings to talk to her or to talk to each other if I have a problem with anybody,
Mm.
you know.
Right.
And I'm like, but you the last one in the house, honey. you gonna get the
But
same thing he got. Ain't gonna change.
That's right.
well,
Exactly. So
but like I said, I had a great father, um, and a great grandfather. I had a great dad. He was my stepfather. Really, he came on the scene when I was like a year old, and didn't have to. A 21-year-old man just marries this woman who has a brand new baby, and then adopts me. And then I had her father was a great father figure also to me. Both of those men I've cherished. My grandfather's passed on, but my dad is still alive. And he's always been the example to go after. Now, of course, they divorced when I was 4 years old. And during that time, uh, my egg donor, all she ever did was pretty much talk junk about him. But how
Mm-hmm.
can you really talk junk about a man who you treated like crap and then took his kids away and ran away and then tried to take him to court for child support for because he had two children with her after me. But they're gonna try to take him to court for child support, knowing the man didn't have a job at the time. But his new wife pays the child support bills for us. And you, who's supposed to be the mother of the three boys, turns around and use that child support money for your next husband coming up and everything, and make your oldest child take care of two more kids after the first, the two after him. Four kids, take care of them, and they are not his kids. All you doing is running behind other folks and running behind the church and doing what you know, instead of actually teaching and raising your children correctly. I didn't have a mother at all growing up. And I to this day I don't respect her. I don't even talk to her and everything. And most people be like, "But she had you, but she didn't want to." That's the thing.
yeah.
You can, if you are pregnant with a child, your thoughts and your feelings go into that child for those 9 months because those 9 months you are the first connection with that child. The father has to develop a bond with that child after the child is born, but mom has that bond from the very beginning. But if you
Mm-hmm.
treat that child like crap while he is in your mother's womb, you consider that child a shame, and you remind that child of that all his life, then no, you're not a good mother.
Well,
Uh,
I will say this.
if you if you talk bad and train and keep your child away from dad and everything, no, I'm sorry, you're not a good mother. Um, there are some men that like my son. Okay, um, he's a bad father, okay, because of the things that I've seen. Um, you know, the proof is always in the pudding. In the end, if you are not doing right in the beginning and in the middle, and even in the end, even towards the end, okay, then then you're not. I can't say that just because you had them, just because you had him or her after 9 months, just because you may have fed them or put a roof over their head and clothes on their back, that still doesn't make you a good parent. Because if you don't protect them, if you don't instruct them, if you don't, teach them, if you don't if you don't do any of these other things, and you saying, well, I did put food in their mouth. Come on, you're
Well,
doing
I will
half
say
job.
this.
Hey, you shouldn't have
I
had
will
the
say this,
child in the
Maurice.
begin with.
I understand what you're saying. I will say this: not every woman is put on this earth to be a mother.
Exactly.
Now they can have children,
Yes.
and not every man who makes a baby was meant to be a father.
Exactly.
So I mean, and like you said, I understand that situation. I've
Oh yeah.
seen it plenty of times, but I don't want to, any mother. I'm not going to say I didn't make mistakes growing up. I mean, not growing up. I'm sorry, being a mother. We all make mistakes because it's something that there's no pamphlet on being a parent. We can only go by what we saw or what we had
Hmm.
growing up. And then
Right.
right from wrong. And
Hmm.
the best way to be a mother or a father to your children when you didn't have that growing up is to do the
Right.
exact opposite.
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but I do feel for any kid who, didn't have that support system growing up because it is a vital part of who we are.
Exactly.
Right.
When Monique was talking, everything that she was saying was I could relate to because we grew up in the same atmosphere,
Right.
same family dynamic. And
Hmm.
so it's like if something was to happen, if I had to grow up in her household, it wouldn't be a shock to my system.
Hmm. Hmm.
I could come in and fall right in line, and she would do the same at my parents' household because they had that same social structure. And so I get it, and I
And that's
understand.
the whole point. And that's the whole point of this talk, is
Right.
because you're going to have a difference of family dynamics and everything. Not everybody
Right.
was raised the same or experienced the same thing. Everybody's going to have, a lot of people going to have a different raising at that time. And just like with that kid, I've been his dad, rather. I have been that boy's father. And the fathers, I spent time with him. He's been to my house numerous times. He's this and he's that. But sometimes, in this case, with social media being the main thing in everyone's lives now, yeah, he needed that embarrassment on social media, because that kid is
Oh,
going to be on social. Yeah, that kid is social media is that kid's life, and it's a lot of these kids' life now. So it's better he get it now, because what if a girl embarrass him on social media and he don't know how to take it? He's bet get this vaccination right now, because what if he
I get
decides to go?
what time out. I get what you're saying. I understand what you're trying to say, but
Yeah,
as a parent, when it's not like it was back then because Monique, when we act up, we get it where we act up, right?
Right
that's right.
then.
Right then and there. You know
That
what I'm
was the
saying?
social
But
media. That was the
that,
social media for us.
exactly. But that's not the atmosphere of now because we have kids who get embarrassed on social media and kill themselves because they don't can't handle the ridicule that comes with that kind of humiliation. And
And
so,
but it's not from the parents though, Ursula. These kids that have been dying or been killing themselves has come from people of their peers. Why? Because they have not had any, what I call, vaccination or training by their parents prior to that happening.
but a
And the
lot of
parents should have
parents,
been paying attention, and the parents should have been paying attention to what they were doing on social media to begin with. First of all, what are they doing with cell phones at such a young age? We didn't have that.
but
What
wait,
what are they doing?
you're missing the point. You're talking about a kid on a lot of parents on social media just learning social media themselves because it's not our era. You know what I'm
Well,
saying? So
since
we
well,
don't
well, see, well,
know.
see, well, see, I don't, I disagree, because people yours and my age grew up from our 20s, our 20s, our early 20s into the social media era. Remember, we didn't have cell phones. It was about when we hit what, our
30.
mid to late 30s when cell phones came about. '96 when you and I were 25, 20. When you was what 25 in '96 and I was 26 in '96. That's when people got Dells and the internet. You can go on the internet and do it, and our kids were just babies. So no, we grew up with that. The problem is laziness comes into play. And
Okay.
we ended up doing other things instead of focusing on our kids and expect them, put them in front of that screen and expect them to do things on their own. And that
Well,
is not the
I say this.
babysitter.
We're gonna table this conversation because I really want to get into why we have Miss Monique up here, but we're gonna pick this back up, Maurice. Of course, me and Maurice, we're like oil and water when it comes to certain social media topics. This is us back and forth all day long. But
Yep.
Monique, thank you so much for joining Keeping It 100. I really appreciate you, and I know you were here. You had to go back home. Your son had a game. Did we win? The Vikings win tonight?
No, it was Meet the Vikings. That's why I told
Oh, okay.
that
Meet the
goes
Vikings.
back into that child stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, I was like, son, yeah, I had things to do tonight. Yay. I was ready for a road trip. And he was like, Mom, but I need you to, everything is always urgent, but
So it must
communication
have
is
been
key.
tonight. A lot of the people did the meeting because my daughter had the meet and greet at school tonight too, and she's a majorette, so they performed tonight. That's the only reason I went out
Okay.
there. But
Okay.
yeah, shout out to the Vikings. I think all three of us are Vikings.
Woo-woo.
I love the Vikings. I'm always rock with the Vikings, most definitely, most definitely. Monique, I don't know if you know, we do have a Viking cruise coming up October 28th through the November the 2nd. We still got a couple rooms available if you want to hit me up later on after the show and we could talk if you want to go. We have a meet and greet on the ship that day. We have about 60, about 65 people maybe going on the trip. So far, I have a couple cabins left. But yeah, it's all about the Viking reunion cruise. So if not,
Okay.
destination next year, Jamaica. So just keep.
I might have to be on next year because I was going to do it and I was talking to some Vikings and they were like, what is your hesitation? I said, my baby girl, the 13-year-old, November 2nd is her birthday. And I did not know if she would
Um,
forgive me if I was cruising on her
But
birthday.
you should have brought. Look, you should have brought it with you. Let me tell you, a lot of people that are going, their kids are going.
No.
Yes, yes. And
Oh,
I
don't say that out
was
loud.
tempted to take my daughter, but she wanted her cousin to go, and I'm like, I don't. I want to be just focused on, you know, the adults right now. So
Yeah.
I get
Right,
it. I totally
right.
understand. Kids come first. I get it. I get it. But
We'll see.
give us
I'll have a discussion with her to see if she will forgive me.
well, next year we're gonna try to round it out where it's not kind of interfering with any kind of holidays, and we can't really do the birthdays, but we're gonna try to maneuver around everybody's schedule and get a general time that everybody's available to go. But real
Okay.
quick, give us a little bit of background about who Monique, aka Mo Vibe, is, and tell us how you got that nickname.
Ah, well, of course, like I said before, I grew up in Grinsville, North Carolina, and I was well known as a licensed cosmetologist.
Hmm.
Straight out of high school, opened my first salon. Well, I actually was doing hair in high school, and that's how I got the name Unique.
Okay.
And opened a salon and operated many years up until this year, and I decided to retire because I was spending more time being a mental health consultant than anything else, and so I help people open group homes, and
Hmm.
at the particular time I needed something fun to do.
Okay.
And one of my friends named Shonda, graduate from them ramparts at JH Rose, invited me to go to a spoken word event with her. And I was given the name Mo Vibe by my kids as well as one of my friends, because she knew that I wrote poetry. And I went to this event and fell in love. Like it was grown and sexy. It was, let your hair down
Yep.
because mental health is stressful. And so that first night she introduced me to Brad Boyd, who was the production manager or the owner of that particular event. And after that link up, Sheridan put me on the schedule and they were asking me to come to share And from there, something that I had a favorite pastime of since like first grade, because that was my outlet, writing poetry and sharing my story, so to speak, about love, relationships, family, and life. It just became full circle. So every time Brad would have an event, he would ask me, "Do you want to perform? I want you to be on the schedule or on the list." And I truly, for the last 2, 3 years, have just that's been my escape. That's been my grown and sexy night, having some
Mm-hmm.
family fun. I mean, some fun for me apart from the family, because I was definitely dug in as a mom,
Yeah.
but being able to share the gift that God had given me, to share some words of encouragement. My poetry sometimes was a little explicit, because I think that a lot of times, especially if you were raised in church, people shun talking about love and
Mm-hmm.
romance and sex and all of those things. And I just didn't feel like it was so separated from God when He created it. So I had one of my I can't read this one over here, but there was one poem called and everybody, when they see me,
I'm
that's
gonna
what
need to
they
hear that.
say.
I'm gonna need to hear that.
And then there was another one that I recently wrote. He makes me water. That one,
Okay,
that
you
one
running down my
hit.
alley right about now. You running down my alley right about now.
And so
Who makes you water?
it was definitely a hit. I have done some motivational pieces. I've done some pieces for like curtailed to certain events. Like there was the business entrepreneurship event probably a couple months ago with Miss, I don't want to say her name wrong, but sweet lady invited me to her event, and she does it every year. It's a business gala, entrepreneurship event, and that was a nice hit. But I'm getting a lot more engagements as a result of Mo'Vybe, which is bringing you real vibes, good vibes, and always leaving you wanting more vibes.
Whoa. I knew the
Yeah,
whole sentence behind that. I knew it.
yeah.
You
So
know,
I now have turned it into a show where I
okay.
take and integrate the poetry piece of me and whatever's going on in life. And so this is my beginning of the Mo'Vybe show, because that's what my daughter calls me now. She said, "Hey Mo'Vybe." She was like, "I meet people and they say, 'I know Mo'Vybe.' So my mama, your name is not even Monique anymore, it's Mo'Vybe." And so it's been contagious right here
Well,
lately.
exactly. So you got into it. You went to a show one night and you got hooked.
I was
Correct?
already writing and got
Yeah.
hooked. Yeah.
So now I still write poetry myself. It was my outlet. Sometimes you
Yep.
have to have something. And the thing about it, I started back in high school and I created a little notebook back then. That notebook went with me from Conley to Germany to Louisiana to Texas and back home, and I still have it. And I had
Wow.
friends that I would meet that would do poetry also, who would give me um, some of their poetry, and I just added it to my book, you know. And I had one who was it? It was called "Sex Me," and when I read it for the first time, I was like, whew, okay. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you need that. And I met a spoken word artist, my sister, rest in peace, Angelisa Bergen. Um, she took me to a spoken word event here in Raleigh
Hmm.
where I met, and I'm gonna try to find his name before the end of the show. And he did this, and I cannot think of the name of it, but he did this um, poem, and he was walking around the room, and he stopped in front of me, and he finished the poem in front of. Let me tell you, when I say that was the day that spoken word hooked me, it hooked me because it's not just you reading your stuff to people; it's about you connecting to your audience. And with that being said, give me just one second. I do have. I'm just going to, ask you a couple questions. I really want to know a lot about the spoken word. And we'll get into your business after this. Um, so, where do you find your inspiration and um, where do you, where does it, how do you gravitate to a particular um topic or subject?
It depends on the event for one, or if I'm just freelancing, it's my mood. Particularly, I'll go back. So when I was 12 years old, I actually was going through, I guess, puberty or something, and I just remember thinking I just wanted to end my life, and it was like this real strong spirit of suicide, and I literally put myself in a trash bag one night and closed it up at the top, pulled the inside in, and I tried to go to sleep in the bag. And while I was in this bag, I had just got I had received Christ into my life at 8 years old, but it was a lot I didn't understand, and I was crying all the time. I was getting picked on because in the third and fourth grade, I was the tallest person next to besides my cousin, and my cousin
Hmm.
named Tracy Hardy. We were the two tallest ones in the third grade, so we got picked on for being gigantic. Okay,
Time out.
and
Tracy Hardy from Grimes
Grinesman,
and Bridge Road.
yes,
Miss Sue
yes,
Hardy.
Miss Sue Hardy daughter,
That's
yeah.
my cousin. That's my
Yeah,
cousin.
we
Okay, I
cousins.
knew it was somewhere in there. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I just remember the teacher lining us up and according to height. So whoever was the shortest was the first in line, and whoever was the tallest had to get in the back of the line. And me and my cousin Tracy were the last two in line. And I just remember getting picked on from third grade up until about seventh grade. I was real skinny. When I went to church, I was called Mosquito Monique. When I was home, it was do this, do this, do this, because I was the oldest. And I
Hmm.
thought that my little brother didn't have to do anything because he didn't have the same type of responsibilities, and we were 5 years apart. And I just
Yeah.
and then I found out I had like another family that stayed elsewhere, like South Carolina, and I felt disconnected. It was like all these things I was questioning,
Yeah.
and I was just like, this is too much. I don't want to live. And so I just remember this song, and I didn't even know it was a song at the time, but it was like these words, like, because he lives, you can face tomorrow.
Mm.
And I'll never forget going to church that Sunday, and this lady stood up, Sister Tracy Phillips, stood up in church, and she said, I was supposed to be singing this because this was on our song list, but God led me to sing this song. And she started singing Because He Lives, even without the music. And I was broke down like, Jesus, you heard me. And
Mm.
from there, there was like some type of impartation that when instead of like bottling all my feelings in, it was put your thoughts on paper. And from that day, those moments, I just started sharing my thoughts and my feelings on paper. And when I went back and read it, it had a little rhythm. And I was like, I didn't mean to write it like that. It just kind of came out like
Came out
that.
like that.
Yeah, it came out like that. And so throughout the years, as you said, the outlet, writing poetry just became my outlet.
Mm.
And I remember putting the pen down when I went to college, and then I got married. And we started having some serious problems in the marriage. And the only way that I could express how I truly felt without stuttering or without feeling
Yep.
demeaned or without was like poetry. Like I really could get my feelings out expressing it. So I wrote him a couple of poems, and then every single time I would start writing this book. And that book was I titled it it just left me. But it was something about words unspoken, right?
Hmm.
And that was my go to. And so I created this little 3 ring notebook and started adding to it notebook paper until I finally wrote one called, well, with him, I wrote one called All Talked Out. That one ended up
Mm.
getting rave reviews, but it was
Ooh.
like, it was literally my feelings on paper, wanting my marriage, but you won't let me express and or whatever the situations were. And that poem just ended up being one of my tops and when I first started performing with Brad. And then the another one, I thought I was in love, after I got divorced. And one of the other ones that I ended up putting music to was called Love Life Lyrics,
Mm.
and it talks about the heartbeat. and how us being in unity, 1 2 3, have made one beat, one sound. And then I used to be in band, so it was just like this rhythm to it, this rhyme to it, and it
Yep.
became so I took the poem and interjected a song that I wrote as well. And well, actually I wrote a song and then interjected the poem as well. And the poem was the voice of love, and then that became a spinoff of a book of poetry. And I'll never forget this guy named Eric Matthews, who's a Christian artist. He was like, "What are you scared of?" And I'll never forget, he said, "You need to publish, seriously." And so I published like 10 copies of that one book, and I was teaching cosmetology classes at the time. And I sold all my books in a and I never reprinted. And so my mission now is
Why?
to I think I got ADHD. And so never been diagnosed by that. And so when life hits me, I'll turn real quick. And
Yeah.
so in
Yeah.
that moment, it was all about survival mode because I was going through a divorce, and my significant other at that time was not very supportive of that dream.
Yeah.
And so it took me having to get out of the situation to revamp. And by the
Mm-hmm.
time I revamped, it was all about survival mode.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I wasn't thinking, oh, publish, publish. I was thinking I need to put some groceries on the table tonight. Like
Yep.
I don't have time to
Yep.
market. I didn't have the money. And then I
You
ended
don't have
up
the
on
energy.
right. And to be honest, I was in a brain fog.
Yeah.
So I couldn't focus on anything except figuring out how to be the best mother I can be. And even that, I think as he was sharing about, sometimes you as a mom, you don't do all the things right. I was just trying to get it right.
Yeah.
So I ended up writing letters and poetry to my kids at times to try to express, like, I'm not trying to be your enemy. I'm trying to be your cheerleader kind of thing.
Yep.
But poetry has just always been my best form of communication because it's like I can, when I'm talking and I mess up, sometimes the people have heard it and it's like, no, you meant what you said. But at least if I'm writing it, I can go back and rewrite until I get it like I
Like
want it.
want
I
it.
can
Yep.
rewrite until it's right for me.
Yep.
And nobody's judging what I put on that paper until I'm with the final product. And then by then I've gotten it out, erased it, and rewritten it, over
Yeah.
again before it could be critiqued. And so that's my go-to.
But I think when you said that, when I went through my separation, I when you talk about, well, back when you said you wrote a poem, the one that's all talked out,
Mm-hmm.
offline, I'm gonna need you to share that with me because when I tell you, and people don't understand, topics matter. Like your title matters. And you
Yeah.
said when you write him poems and things like that, I did the same thing because I felt like when I tried to express myself verbally, you got all these emotions that are running through you, so you can't articulate the way you want to, and a lot of times that conversation turns into an argument and nothing
Yep.
ever gets resolved. And
Mm-hmm.
so I remember writing a poem because I felt like everybody came before me,
Mm-hmm.
and it was called Being Number Two. And but I never gave it to him. I wrote it, but then I thought, like, if I share it, I don't know about you, but I don't like being vulnerable a lot.
Right.
And so I thought that was just more ammunition, that if he didn't take it the way I was trying to present it,
Mm-hmm.
that he would get more insight into me.
Right.
And not that he's never been a mean-spirited person, but he could possibly, you know, reverse it on me. So yeah,
Understood.
but you are talking, when you talk, like, I have followed everything you said. It has mimicked the relationships that I've had all the way down, because I think words have power.
Yes.
Words have power. So now, are there any let me see. Are there any routines that you have that kind of get you in that creative space? or is it just come to you, or
Most of the time, it just comes to me. I
Mhm.
literally can, if and I hate to say this out loud, but a lot of times when I know I have a show coming up and I just go right, it could be like one morning I wake up and I have the title, or I have the hook, right? And so
Mhm.
I write down the hook, and most of the time I'll be like joking around or something. I'll come up with a beat. Next thing I know, I'll be like, okay, that go with that, that go with that. And then if I don't write it down, I will forget.
Yep.
And so
Mhm.
I started putting it in my phone.
Mhm.
And I might get a piece this week, another piece next week. Like for example, I do have a show coming up August the 20th with War
Where
um
is that going to be at?
in Greenville at Pursuvian Events and
All right,
Lounge
please
on
send that.
Arlington Boulevard.
Please send that information to us. We will post it on our Facebook page and on our
Okay.
show page. Definitely.
Okay.
All
And
right.
he just posted today that all his tickets had sold out. I'm so proud of him. His name is Ethan Armstrong. His event is Saturday, August the 24th. And so I've been like prepping. Do I do an old piece and refurbish it, or do I do something fresh? And right now I just have a piece. Like I just have like one stanza. And sometimes I'll get the rest of it the morning of. And I be
Oh
mad
my
because I
gosh.
want
Oh my
I be
gosh.
like, no. I be and I would really literally be like trying to I sit down and be like, okay, I got
Try
it,
to
I got
write
it.
it. It won't come.
Stuck.
Can't come. Won't come. It don't
No.
come at all. Look,
Right.
my dad jokes a lot. My dad's a pastor out of Aurora, and they would always get me to do things at church, be introduce a speaker, create a speech about somebody that they're honoring or whatever. And they'll ask me, "Hey, have you done a speech?" I'm like, "No, not yet, not yet." And then he'll be like, "Okay, it's like a week later. Like, have you done anything?" I'm like, no. And I tried to, but nothing works. Like it will not work.
Hmm.
Monique, I promise you, it could be Sunday morning. I could be in the back of the church and I would go grab a piece of paper from the computer,
Hmm.
sit in
Hmm.
the back of the church. You know how they do the program. The program goes down in the steps. They could be
Hmm.
at the call to worship, right? I would be at the back of the church with a pen and a piece of paper, and I could be on after, right before either the right after the offering, and I
Hmm.
will put the period when they call my name. But
I
it
know
but
about it.
when you're in that mode, it just comes like
Snaps.
this.
Yes.
I'm so
Yes.
glad it's just not me. I'm gonna tell my dad when I get off this that it is just not me, because sometimes it's not there. It's when you
Right.
try to force it, it does not come authentically, and it doesn't sound the way it does when it just starts pouring out of you and you're writing it down.
Right.
So, but yeah, now I see what my sister told me to call you. So my sister, let me shout out to her. Shout out to Tamara. She told me to call you. But,
Yes.
but
So
now
I said thank you.
she's like, she said, y'all got the same kind of spirit. She's funny. She's outgoing. So you really need to talk to her. And I'm like, okay, let me hear this. She said, I think we related too. I said, okay, I'm gonna
Oh,
check with her.
she is
Now,
sweet.
when you get it performed, how do you prepare for your performance? And do you rehearse it, or is it just you have the words and you just kind of go for it, or do you like stand in and practice it and get it down, or what is your process to get ready to perform?
My first thing I do is I pray because it depends on what piece I'm doing. I just really try to make sure I'm not offending anyone because when you come
Uh-huh.
from the church world and you
Yes.
don't know who all is in your audience, people have the tendency to be judgmental. And
Yes.
so that's my first thing. I'll be like, Lord, now I am being a creative artist right now.
Hmm.
But I gotta perform. So it's not gonna be me just saying, and the clouds were blue. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get in my
Exactly.
space. So I'm
Exactly.
asking you to help me get in my space. And sometimes I go back and watch the videos and I'm laughing at myself because I was like, girl, what were you doing? Like I know that there was a certain part. Well, it was another poem. Talking about the thighs being chocolate thunders and or
Woo.
something to that effect. And I did like this whole little dance to it, and the audience fell out. And I was like, my mama see this, she gonna get me.
But Isn't it kind of
And so,
hard for you to kind of move in that space? Like, being in church, my dad's a pastor, you already know,
yeah,
them preacher
yeah.
kids. So I even with this show, we have sensitive topics, and we talk about sex, we talk about relationships and intimacy and things like that. And while I true to what I'm saying, I do have to monitor how I say it and certain words that I won't use, because I do have a lot of church members, not only just from my church, but from my home church and other a lot of my friends are pastors or cousins are pastors, and so I don't, like you said, you don't want to offend anybody. So is it a hard process for you to kind of walk that fine line between being an
Um,
artist, being authentically who you are, and not offending somebody?
for me, I would say no, because before I knew the name of your show was Keeping It 100, I tell people I'm gonna keep it real, okay? And I cannot. I don't think that there is any topic to be discussed that wouldn't offend someone in any way. So I truly do not, and I hate to sound ugly, I can't babysit folk feelings. I am in it to win it. People have to know my heart and know that I'm genuinely caring and loving of everybody. But when it comes to the art and the craft, I'm gonna give it
Hmm.
what it needs.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna give it what it needs,
yeah. I'm gonna keep
because
it
the
keep it
other
100.
part is, I think that's part of the problem in, being Christians and being in the church world,
Yeah,
that we're not real enough. I mean, we want to talk about faith and the blessings of God,
yeah,
but we don't deal with the real issues about how many people in church are actually having sex outside of marriage, or how many people are not happily married and getting divorced, and how many people are praying instead of going to counseling, or not doing the combination thereof. And so I just really feel like me being authentic to the craft is bringing the issues to the light, to say to people it's okay if you're having problems. I don't believe that God put every marriage together. I
yeah.
don't believe
Oh
that
yes.
sex is supposed to be shunned just because you're a Christian. I don't believe that you're supposed to be married for 50 years and be unhappily married. Like, they're just things that I just go ahead and hit right on. And just the
Yeah,
same way with parenting. I don't think that, because, and I told my kids, I'm not the social media mom. I'm not the social media parent. I'm not the cookie cutter. I'm not the trendy. I
mm-hmm.
am I am the mom based on who God gave me, and that's you. And based on you, I can't follow a certain, oh, well, you need to do it this way or you need to do it that way. So when I hit it from the poetry angle, I'm gonna give it the spoken word genuinely, truthfully, and how I feel it, the
Yeah.
realness of it. And it's usually based on something that I've encountered in life, or maybe even a fantasy. Might be a little bit fulfillment of a fantasy.
But you know
And
what?
so,
That to me, like you said, that makes you authentically who you are. And it's like, here I am, this is me. I'm not, and a lot, like you said, a lot of marriages, when they said the one line says, um, let no man put asunder what God has brought together. Sometimes God ain't in that.
at
Sometimes it's
all.
all about what you like, the sex, that you was, just infatuated with this person, and you thought it was to be forever. And that's not what all marriages are based on. Some
Right.
marriages are based on, finances, some marriages are based on love and respect, some marriages are just based on the fact that you felt good together and you thought
Felt
that's what you
good
were supposed to
sexually,
do,
yes.
you know. And so and God ain't in it. So, but a lot of the
Mhm.
church don't want to talk about that.
Right.
They do. Um, when somebody said, people, I don't want to go to church because y'all take up all these offerings, but you don't mind paying $20 to get in the club
At all. At all.
at all,
At
at
all.
all. You know what I'm
That
saying?
part.
So, like, come on
Right.
now. You
Hmm.
are you where you want to be. If it's not in you to go, it's not gonna it's not me in you to go. I grew up in church. And
Right.
for those, train up in the way that you go, that when they're old, they would not depart from it. Which is like, and I was out, I did my partying, and thank God he kept me while I was out there doing my thing. to bring me back to where I am.
Right,
But
right.
I came back as not only the Christian Ursula, but also the one who's had worldly experiences.
Exactly. And that makes a big difference.
It makes a big difference, a huge
Like,
difference.
yeah.
Now, are there any technique, like, you said you dance, you did a little dance move? Are there any techniques or styles that you use to connect with your audience?
Um, it depends. And like I said, it depends on, because like I've done I have performed spoken word at like church events, women conferences,
Okay.
as well as business empowerments. I've also performed just like a birthday party, anniversaries. And so depending on who I'm dealing with, depends on what I give them. And so I know that at Brad's events, it's strictly performance. It's grown and sexy. So I'm gonna be just what it says.
I'm gonna have to come check you out, Monique. Now, when you say
It
grown
is.
and
It
sexy,
is
you got me
definitely
hooked right
live.
there. Wow.
And so
And
I took that
it's in
same.
Greenville most times.
Well, Brad's events, they started off at New Look, and he outgrew that location, and then it moved to the
Mm.
Civic Center in Washington. And every single time he would have sold out events. But he's taking a little sabbatical from it right now. And then I was invited to War, which is Ethan Armstrong, who I just told you had a sold out event as well. And so at first I was a little, let me just kind of break the ice a little bit with something real simple. But the other time that I performed was after that business event, and I gave them the business. They were like, let me see you when this is over. And so I enjoy connecting with the audience. I know that people love to talk about men, especially women, because the audience is usually predominantly women. So I give them love, sex, and money. That's what I give them.
Oh yeah. You
And
got a
and
woman
and it
hooked with
usually
them
hits
three.
every time.
A woman gonna get hooked with them three. I don't know if
All
you
day.
know him. Actually, he's my brother. James Smith said hello to everybody. I don't know if you
Hey
know him out,
James.
out of Simpson. He's out of Simpson, North Carolina. But we all
Okay.
grew up in the Gromson area. Now, another question: have you had a memorable experience with a performance or a audience member that you can, that comes to your mind? Anything specific? Any
Like, are you meaning any audience member that was an inspiration to my writing, or like while I was performing
while you
somebody?
were performing, was it
Yes.
somebody? Okay,
So I
I'm all
remember,
ears.
okay, so we had a performance with Brad and Aiden, and it was this older well, he actually attended two of my performances, and he's an older guy. I know he's probably like late 60s, early 70s, and he always comes dressed up in like some nice swag. Okay. And I think I was performing and this man got out in the middle of the floor and said, "I'll marry you." And he just started he
Are you
just
serious?
started doing this dance, and it was real sexual, and it was so funny because he did it. I didn't know that he was at the next event when I did He Makes Me Water. And I like asked the audience how many people were married, how many people divorced, how many people were happily single, and he did the same thing. Yeah, baby, I want you. I want and so now I start to look for him before I open my mouth because he always catches me off guard. But he is hilarious. He never like approaches me when it's over though. But during the scene, he is probably the most hilarious. You could tell that he was listening. And then they'll laugh at me and they say, "You have a fan back there." um, and so he's probably the funniest encounter that I've had so far because he just stood in
Wow.
the middle of the floor and did this sexy dance. And they was like, every time you said he would say, like he was just in it. He was in it. But I
So
couldn't hear him
wait,
from the stage.
all right. So and I know, especially we're live tonight, but I know we're gonna replay this on each of our channels. Like it's like about 4 or 5 of us. So we all share this video so they can see it. Anybody that couldn't tune in tonight. So can you give us just a little bit of one of those poems, just a little bit of one of them?
Ooh.
I'm tempted to ask for the one that makes me water. That's the one I really want to hear, or the
Oh, you
So
want? Let me see what I can find for you.
after talking to me, you kind of know my vibe right now, so you probably know which one that I'm gonna want to hear the most.
Okay. Hold on.
You got me over here. My eyes is watering.
Um. Well, tell me which one you want, so I can know which one to go to. Water or
Water.
You was gonna say
That's
that.
one of my favorite songs. I saw everybody got
Uh-huh.
that. You got that song that on the side. They be like, why would you let? That's me when I'm by myself or when I'm with who I want to be with. Just mind your business.
Mind your business.
Mind your business. It's grown folks over here.
Okay, give me a second. Let me make sure I got it all right here. Okay. Normally I have a little background music, but tonight,
Okay.
um, water. Needing the time to get away as we just booked the luxury hotel and spa room. Ready to stay and relax my life, me as his bride and him as my handsome groom. As I close my eyes, I see this special wave in the ocean of my dreams and vision. Me wanted to be splashed by him as his chosen, intentional, everlasting mission. Breathing in the fresh air of his sexy, masculine, contagious, my favorite Sauvage Dior cologne. Wanting to be in his presence and making dates often just as we talk, laugh, unwind, and be alone. That warm beach sand on a hot summer day, sipping through my toes and my little bare feet, are his warm arms and hugs wrapped around me, which calms me immediately. The sound of the ocean waves crashing, relaxing me with his deep, attractive voice. It soothes me, caresses me, chilly breezes me, making me hot. What we do with his heat is our choice. Like the wind that blows from the beach against my sun bronze, brown skin feels like him walking past me, what gives me the goosebumps from the outside in. And as we share, he captivates and allures me with his lovely words of seaside passion that he would tell me and show me love, not just with his words, but also his actions. Finally, a man that communicates and loves me dearly and pays the bills. Stop lying. Don't be messing with my head. But y'all, he said he massaged me and rubbed my body every night and put rose petals on our bed. Yes, he makes me sweat as I see him empowering my dreams and move. He makes me hot as he supports my dreams. Now that's a sexy groove. He makes me lose my breath. And he surprises me often and tries harder and harder like the ocean is wetter than wet with no boundaries. He make me think, grow, and smile because he makes me water. It's
Yeah,
a
we
lot more,
related.
but yes, he
We
makes
we
me
related.
water.
We related.
He makes me water.
Girl, girl, with
Well, hold
music.
up. Let me give you this. Let me give you this little piece. Let me give you this little piece.
Okay.
I can see you with your smooth chocolate skin, that tall glass of swagger walking slowly towards me as I sit on the shore, anticipating your arrival, sitting and marinating and sitting, marinate, baby. I'm 100% yours, refusing not to quit as we rewrite the narratives of our past to the present love story. Ooh, what's love got to do? Got to do with it. What's love but a secondhand emotion? What you mean what love got to do with it? It got everything to do with this story. Lord requires a commitment of God, our futures, our marriage, and love with each other. Thank you, Lordy. pushing each other to greatness. Besides him, there is no place I'd rather be than together with our new commitments to ourselves and family, knowing that we belong united forever. Did I say I can't breathe? Did I say he makes me wetter than wet with no boundaries? Because he makes me think, grow, and smile. Yeah, he makes me water.
Okay, I know Houston is behind. I know he's watching.
Oh,
Houston,
no.
we will be going to one of these events. We have to go hear Monique do this on stage. If you can hear me, I just need you to put a yes in the comment section, Houston. Monique,
Hmm?
I get Mo vibe now because we've been friends on Facebook for quite a while, right? And
Hmm.
I kept saying, why does Mo? And this is before my sister said anything to me. And whenever I would type in, you know how you start typing the name in, and the people with the similar name would all pop up.
Yep,
And
yep.
you would always pop up and it'd be Mo Vibe. I'm like, why does she say Mo Vibe? It was always a question to me, which is one of the questions I have written down first. Why did you use Mo Vibe? Now I see. And I see why your daughter says you are no longer Monique. That
Okay.
that was amazing. I love that. I love spoken word, but when you can put into words how what most women feel when they with somebody who does it for them, that's it.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm like, regardless of whether your marriage or your relationship stands the test of time,
yeah.
all women in the beginning feel that.
That right there.
They feel that.
That right there. They be wanting it. Like, give it to me. And if he giving it, oh my gosh. And everybody be like, why she smiling so hard? Bruh.
Cheesing. Cheesing. Like, how do
Yeah.
you even see your back molar when you smiling, girl? For real. Like my face be
Yes.
about to crack.
Yes.
Oh my, look, girl. Okay. So when is your next event? You said it's sold out. Of course it's gonna be sold out.
It is. It is. Ethan invited us to return. Um and I want to say maybe a month's time. He's really good at marketing, and Brad, like I said, him and Brad both have their own productions. But Ethan Brad is taking a sabbatical, like I said, and Ethan Armstrong with War is now, I think this is Words and Rhythm. That's what War stands for. Words and Rhythm. And he has just did another promotion. He tried to do one Father's Day and some people were not supportive. I don't know what happened. Something really crazy happened, but now he's back full force. So the next one for him is August the 24th. I have actually been asked by a multitude of people to start my own, and I was like,
I
that's
don't
too
blame
much
them.
work. I
It
don't, that's
is. It's a lot
it's
of
a lot.
work. But
I
Monique,
just like performing.
but
I
Monique,
just like that.
now just listening, you could literally be because I know just like on comedy shows, you have the headliner and you have the host, and then you have the comedians. Now the host usually comes up in between each of the comedians or whatever and introduces each one of them.
Yeah.
Me personally, you have the attitude, the charisma to be the co-host. I mean, not the co. I'm sorry, the host of the show, because people get to see you each time coming back and forth. The first, I don't know if you ever heard of him. His name is Ali Sadiq. He's a comedian. I went to see the Bill Bellamy Ladies Night Out tour,
Oh, I like that show.
and it was him and two other comedians, and then the host was Ali Sadiq. When I tell you he stood out more than anybody, even even Bill Bellamy, because of his charisma, his and the way he is, he's gained his following just from YouTube.
Really?
Yes, his name is Ali Sadiq. And but you have the charisma to be a host, that because people are going to want to keep seeing you come back and forth and get to see you multiple times, or the headliner who is going to close out the show. So you really, I'm with them. I think you need your own show.
I think
I
you
think you
should.
have, you already have your own show now, right?
I just started it. Like I've only had one episode, should I say. And that was with my daughter. And so I'm working on trying to get the word out. And so I've been
Mhm.
creating reels and social media marketing the best I can. But my daughter, who lives in Greensboro, she's studying business. Well, she actually graduated. I'm sorry. She graduated from A&T, and she's about to go to California to continue her master's. She had this whole um I hate to say therapy session, but she and I was just discussing business this past weekend, and she was like, that was one of the things that she was like, Mom, you just need to pick up and hit the road. Just you need to be somewhere else besides Greenville. And I was like,
Mhm.
you need to get out.
Yeah,
And so the
definitely.
Mo'Vybe show is basically I wanted it to be sit down in the room, but my baby girl, India, she's my other sounding board. She was like, I think you should be virtual, Mom, so that anybody that wants to attend around the world can be there, but also be live as well. And so I'm just working on um,
So
putting things in
keep
place.
the content going.
Yeah.
Definitely do the live shows, and when you're ready, just jump, head first. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you would have the support, especially of your own community. And here I am in Greenville every other weekend thinking, ain't nothing to do, ain't nowhere to go. I just go to my parents' house and watch TV and go to sleep until Sunday morning. Had no idea.
No.
Had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
And to be honest, that was part of my I had to go to therapy when I got divorced.
Hmm.
Because I thought I was losing my mind. Okay. And the gentleman
Right.
that was my therapist at the time told me, you have to find that thing that makes you tick in order for you to be a balanced mother. I mean, I know that
Yeah.
you ticking off motherhood and that's all that you can see, but you also have to nurture your womanhood. And so I would say that poetry, spoken word, and these adult events have been a part of my healing. It has been a part of also me ministering to other people through the things that I've gone through as my testimony to
Now,
move life forward.
the the thing that we did talk about, I think you've already touched base on it, was like the message. Like the message, what message do you want to convey through your work? What is your reasoning and your message behind a lot of things that you do say, a lot of the poems that you create?
Well, I just had the blessing of one of my friends creating a t-shirt for me. And I think the three things I would like to leave everybody with is be free.
Mm-hmm.
Be free to be yourself. The second one is be different. You don't have to fit the mold. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to be like status quo. You don't have to be like every other church person. You don't have to be like everybody that's not in church. You just be
Mm-hmm.
you
Be
and,
you.
and choose to be the different person that you are. And the third thing would be to I got it. Hold on. It's be free, be different, and begin again.
Yes.
Like a lot of times people are so scared to start over, and I remember being in that place. Like, I don't want to do this because this is comfortable, but being comfortable has stagnated my life. And so you have to be all three of those things, or be the first two things, so that when you begin again, it's not you taking away from yourself and your potential.
Exactly.
And so I think those are the three things that are the nuggets that I'm really thriving on
Mm-hmm.
in my life. As I said before, I was married, I was divorced, and in seeking to be the right relationship, which is my next show, August the 31st, and being the right partner, making sure that you're complete in yourself, that nobody else can make you happy. And so you need to be free in that. Be free in the fact that you can do things for yourself. Not to say
Mm-hmm.
be, because I've had people to ask me, and this particular gentleman said, so what are you condoning the feminist movement? I'm not condoning anything except loving yourself. But in
Yeah,
loving yourself, I'm not squeezing out loving others. You know what I mean? Like there has to
exactly.
be the balance of all of that. But don't love everybody so much that you don't love yourself. That's the point that I'm
Exactly.
making.
And
And sometimes I think as women we forget ourselves.
we do. We do. We focus
but we
more
need
on our
it.
relationships and our children and everything going on versus ourselves.
Yeah. And so, not to be exclusive, but to be inclusive of who we are.
Yeah.
And to embrace the unique gifts. A lot of times women be like, well, I don't, both men and women, I'm not leaving men out at all. It's just that sometimes I think that I've been told I'm strong. I've been told that I'm mushy. I've been told that I could be a little overbearing, and I don't intend to be. And so, because of those things, I don't necessarily try to target men, but if they are influenced and blessed as a result, then that's a one up, right? But I really feel and have a compassion for women, especially single mothers or divorcees, just because I know what it feels like to feel like you have to walk in somebody else's image to be recognized, or you don't feel like you can express your hurt, or you don't have anywhere to turn, because if you in church, everybody tells you to pray, and if you out of church, it's none of nobody's business, because what go on in your house stay in your house. But there are some things that don't need to stay in the house. There
Yeah.
are some things that you
Exactly.
need to cry out for help, and you can cry out for help in prayer. You can cry out for help with your peer supports. You could cry out for help in therapy. There are other avenues, and then sometimes we need to cry out for help within, because we don't even realize how strong we are, and sometimes
Yeah.
we overlook our capacities. And I think that we need to look back inside to understand that we are valuable, and that God created us in his image, and we can be strengthened in that, but we have to realize first of all that it's there. And so, being free, being different, and having the resilience to being resilient enough to begin again.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Definitely. Definitely. That is a very positive message. I think a lot of people, and I have when I say a lot of people, I'm including myself, that when things end, the hardest part is to begin again. But and I do say, like, every period, I mean, every sentence ends with a period. You can't begin the next chapter unless you put a period at the end of that sentence. Stop it. That's where it stops at, and then start again. I had to get out of that funk,
Yeah.
and I've always been the person who, and I used to, dim my light because it made other people feel uncomfortable, or it
Right.
didn't, or it infringed upon what they thought that they should be. And I'm like, but I can be authentically me. And if you don't like it, put some shades on.
That's right.
Because I mean, I got tired of not being who I was meant to be because
Right.
it threatened you,
That's
you
right.
know. Now I know, and you said when you discuss, like, do you ever discuss sensitive information, or is your work always a positive? I mean, even though sensitive information can be positive, but you can spin it for a positive message. But do you ever discuss anything that's deemed sensitive for social
I
media?
through my spoken word, or you
Mhm.
mean through the show?
Either one.
Yes. One of the topics was definitely domestic violence.
Hmm.
Particularly because, and I covered it from all areas, I was a victim of domestic violence. And so I know in one of the pieces that I did share um about it in there,
Hmm.
about the bruises and the marks and the colors that it looks like, purples and blues. And so it's crazy that you mentioned that, because that is really one of the reasons why I share as well, because I think sometimes when you're going through those things, you play hush, and those are the ones that really die in it, and
Yeah.
but the ones that really seek the help. I'm not saying everybody that seek help get out, but usually a lot of those that seek the help get out. Like, I remember the time when I was literally sleeping in my car, and I was married to someone who had slapped the taste out my mouth,
Hmm.
and I was stuck in my poetry, and we were doing ministry. And it was a really hard thing because I didn't want my kids to be affected. I didn't want the people that I was ministering to be affected. So I withheld. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't My kids knew that something was going on, but it wasn't until one of my children was having like severe nightmares, waking up in the middle of the night screaming, and then when they would tell me their dream, I knew something wasn't right with what was going on in my life, but I didn't have all the details. And I literally listened to my child talk to me, and when I say it was the most gut wrenching situation to see my child literally scared like it happened, I knew I
Mhm.
needed to change my environment. But then I needed the proof. It's like, okay, I got this feeling something not right. And then God started to reveal, like he actually gave me, and I promise you, he gave me the master plan, just like I'm talking to you, of how to get out. But not everybody is able to hear the voice of God, and that not that he's not speaking, but most people don't know how to hear him. So um through the words that I write and the words that I speak, I try to give them that outlet to say, these are the things that can help you. These are the resources that are available. And that's one of the reasons why I stuck so long into the mental health piece, that even when I was doing trainings, I was sharing with the staff, like, these are the things that you need to look for, and these are the things you need to notice in the children. But don't be the staff that's um double traumatizing, or
Yeah,
repeat
yeah,
offending the clients in whatever capacities. Don't be that person as staff. And so or pushing them to be a repeat offender is what I meant to say. And so those are very sensitive topics when you're dealing with other people's mental health, even your own. And from a domestic violence perspective, I think that's also sensitive. I also address now, I address this more on the show, or in the times that I've done videos before, or lives. Things like homosexuality, those are sensitive topics. I try to stay neutral, but I'm
mhm,
also gonna hit it from the biblical perspective. And as I've heard a preacher say, you grown and you gonna do what you want to do, but I'm gonna just tell you what the words say, and it's up to you to
mhm,
follow through. It's up to you
mhm.
to live your life accordingly. I'm not the judge. I don't have a heaven or hell to send anybody to, so
Oh,
you do
I say
you.
that all the time. I say it all the time.
You do you. You do you. But from the word, what I read was this.
And see,
And so,
and a lot of people have a problem with that because I can't, like, I don't have a heaven and hell to put you in. I'm not in your bedroom at night. I can't dictate what you do. You got to live your own life. It's like you might not agree with the things I do in my life, but
right,
I will say people, and I've had people that talk about homosexuality, and oh well, y'all going to hell and y'all doing this, and y'all now, and I understand that, but at the same time, if you over here fornicating or you cheat on your husband, your wife, I'm sorry, but tell them to slide over because you in the same boat they in.
right. Sin is
So
sin.
be careful
There
about
is
pointing
no
fingers.
measurement.
I can only tell you what the words say. You know what I'm saying? So I like I said, I can't tell you. I can tell you what the word says, but it's up to you to do what you want to do, and you do what you want to do. But be careful about pointing fingers
Right.
because it says that all men sin, all men sin, and they think that because the Ten Commandments does say about coveting somebody else's husband or wife. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but people don't. I like I said, I tend to say neutral because I try to love everybody,
Right.
and I would rather love you away from what I deem detrimental to you versus being derogatory towards you and
Right.
pushing you farther away because God drew by love, not by
Yeah.
he did chastise, but he didn't do it in a malicious manner.
Right.
Just like we chastise our
Right.
children, not being malicious. We're just like, hey, this is not good for you.
Right.
Don't do this.
Right.
And so, but people do what they want to do. And I'm like, don't ask me my opinion if you don't want it. It's going to come from a biblical standpoint, whether you like it or not.
Right.
That's
If
just
you
me.
want it, then you could get
I'm
it.
gonna still
But
love you. I'm gonna still love you. I'm gonna still, I'm here. I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna love on you because you're a child of God just like I am.
right.
However, however, you know what I'm saying? I
Yes.
do we have somebody that's coming on that wants to add to the show? I don't know if she's trying to add on. Tamara, no, she disconnected. I thought my sister was going to join, and I will say one of the other compliments she said your makeup was always be used to be a makeup artist.
Yes, Mary
Your
Kay.
face was always be.
I love that girl.
She said it. She said her face was always beat, and I think you used to do that. You used to do makeup for people. Yep,
Uh-huh.
yep. So she
Yep.
knows exactly who you was. I was like, okay. I said
Yep,
I'm
we
gonna
call
definitely
your
give her a
sister
call.
Tam. And I think that our connection was Cassandra. Cassandra's been my best friend since I
Yeah,
was 4. And
yeah,
so Miss Hattie used to have us all together doing
yep,
Girl Scouts or something. And
yep.
your mama used to cook up something. I thought she catered or
Girl,
something.
she just finished
I
cooking
done
a few
ate your
minutes
mama
ago.
food.
Look, she just finished cooking downstairs a little while ago. I
See?
I'm
Yes.
so happy she came up here.
Love it. Love it. And I remember I don't know. It seemed like I used to go to your house or something and eat.
Yeah,
I,
if you
I
was with
remember.
Miss Hattie, you probably did because people used to think me and Tasha were sisters because we
Exactly.
look
I
we
could see
look we
that.
do look
Uh-huh.
alike. I was like, yeah, that's
Yes.
crazy. But yeah, when you said Grimes, and I'm like, there's nobody in Grimes and that I know that actually live there that I'm not related to.
Right.
So it's
It
crazy.
seemed like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Grimes and was a pot that everybody just came out of. I'm sorry, I don't care where you from. If you
Exactly.
say you grew up in Grimes, and we all related.
And
Now,
we checking that line too. Okay, so I might not be kin to that person, but I'm kin on the mama side, not the
it,
daddy side.
there you go. My kids and I told them this, and my son lives in he's actually at A&T right now too, and
Uh-huh.
he said when he brings home somebody or my we go to any kind of event in Greenville or Grimes or whatever, and they don't even want to talk. I don't care if they find somebody that's good looking or whatever. My daughter's like, nope, because they're gonna probably be kin to me. I ain't
It's so
trying it. I don't even want
cute.
nobody down there.
Exactly.
But that's just the way it is. It's just the way it is in
Mm-hmm.
Grimes, and I have to bring them to my parents. I'm like, hey, this is such and such, and he's like, who your mama, who your daddy,
Yes.
who's you raised,
Yes.
who your grandmama, granddaddy, and they do the research and say like, I don't want you to date your cousin.
Right. That's what it's been for years.
Yeah, I told my mom
Mm-hmm.
I had a crush on this guy and who he was, and she was like, wait a minute. She's like, that's your third cousin. I'm like,
See?
what? She's like, yeah, yes, ma'am. No, forget that. I was like, okay, that's
Let me
it.
tell you a real quick story. So you know Gronslin and Simpson are like cousins, right? They
Yep.
they all kind of meshed in there together. And I remember being in the ninth grade, and at the time this girl had came to the school. She was a thorn in my side in the seventh grade, a thorn in my side in the eighth grade. And by the time we got to the ninth grade, I was ready to fight. And I've never fought. Like me and Sam had a little scuffle back in the day, but we was arguing over who was about to bat next. And Sam was like, I'm going back because we need to win. I was like, move, Sam. So that was like, no, we fussed like a little scuffle. But no, this girl right here, I was going to get suspended
Fight,
from
fight.
school. And I knew I was going to get suspended. So I went home and I told my mama, I said, this girl pick on me all the time. She always calling me names. And I started cussing in ninth grade, which was something I didn't even do. But she made me so mad. I was cussing and everything. And I came home and told my mama, I said, Mom, I'm going to fight this girl. She said, well, who is she? I said, Mama, I know her name is such and such. And I told her name. I'm going to tell the name. And she going to laugh about this. Letitia Rogers. I said, Mama, she pick on me all the time. I'm going to fight this girl. And look, me and her brother were cool, right? Me and Derek were cool. And I came home and I told my mama that Tisha was picking on me. And she said, now what's her mama name? I said, I don't know. She said, well, go back to school and ask her. So I asked her mama name. She was, what you want to know my mama name for? Because, Tisha was, she was a live
Yeah,
wire.
yeah.
And I'm a little church girl. And so the funny part is when she told me her mama name, I went home and my mama said, you can't fight her. I said, why not? That's your cousin. And when I went back to school and told Tisha that she was my cousin, she told me, I already knew that. Why you didn't know? I was like, you know what? Y'all need to have a whole tree A whole tree. Like
A
I knew
whole
Tim
tree.
Daniels was my cousin. I knew Lisa Daniels was my cousin. I did not know that Tisha was in the same family. And when I told her that who her mama was and who her grandma was, my mama was like, you can't fight her. That's your cousin. I go back and tell Tisha, and she falls out. You didn't know that? Why you didn't know? I was like, and you been giving me a hard time. We can. I was like, no, that's not what we do.
Look, giving me a hard time being kin is totally different than giving me a hard time. We don't even know each other like that.
We don't know. And I was, when I said I was ready to fight, I was like, I'm going to get suspended, Mom. I'm going to get suspended. She said, no, you can't do that. You can't do that, Mama. I'm going to tell you tomorrow, I'm going to beat her up. You can't fight her. That's your cousin. What?
People don't believe that your tree extends. So when people move away from home, and I want to do it. Ask a couple questions. But I'm telling you this quick story. My daughter plays softball, and my son plays baseball. And she joined this team. It was only 2 black girls on the whole team, and her and this girl just kind of just clicked immediately. And the other girl was really quiet. She was, a little hush hush. So her mom was like, "Hey, can she get your daughter's number? Because they tend to get along." And so they just started talking on the phone, and so one day her mom said that, I don't know how the conversation came up, but she said, "Yeah." I said, "Where's her dad from?" She said, "Well, her dad's from this little small town called Greenland." And I said, "Greenland? I ain't never heard of that before. I heard of Greenville and
Uh-huh.
Grimesland." And she
Right.
was like, "No, it's Grimes." I said, "Well, wait a minute, hold on. If he from Grimesland, then we probably related." I said, "Well, send me a picture of him so I can see what he looked like." She sends me a picture of him. I automatically know who he is. We cousins, but we're distant cousins. But in the picture with him are all my first cousins.
Oh, oh, oh.
And so I told my daughter that that was her cousin. They're inseparable. They were already
Isn't it?
they are inseparable. We went on a cruise. Her mom and her mom's boyfriend had to go because she wanted to go with Jamia. Whenever she's always here. I gave her a key
That is
because I get tired to open
beautiful.
the door for her. She's always over here, always over here. She's just like she's definitely part of the family. But when
Right.
I tell you they are inseparable, it's ridiculous. So you never know. And then sometimes you can have
Yes,
friends that are just like family. Like
that's true.
Cassandra and Tamara are just friends, but you can't tell them they ain't cousins. Me and
Right.
Tasha, that's my sister. You know what I'm saying? So we
Right.
get it. We
Right.
get it. But because girl, I have enjoyed talking to you. Tamara, she was dead on about you. Dead on about you. I love you. So
I
okay,
love you
so quick
too.
question. Now, spoken word has definitely evolved into this popular artistry right now. It is very popular on social media, spoken word. A lot of people are giving out their messages in a way that people are receiving it more because it's in the spoken word form. So,
Hmm.
how does that fit into your trajectory? Or is it not only do you do it for your outlet, but is it a form of getting your message out to people, helping people, connecting to people, let them know that they've been through, situations that they're not by themselves? What is your how do you fit into that whole thing about being spoken word artistry on social media?
I definitely see this being a part of. I want to get more away from so much tradition, if that makes
Mhm,
sense.
mhm,
The artistry side of me and the message that matches the artistry is more of who I am.
mhm.
And it allows me to flow, and in flowing it allows me to give people what I think they need in this moment. There is, in my opinion, a whole lost era. I feel like there is this generation of us um that's missing the genuine truth about life. And I
Oh,
know that sounds
yes.
simple, but I think the complexities of it, because we're losing identities and because we're losing, some of us are losing our voice. Somebody has to be that voice of reason, and somebody has to be that genuine, authentic person to bring things to the light, to
Mm-hmm.
address them, so that we can bring solutions to those problems, even politically. I feel like this is the era of movement, that it is definitely necessary to captivate the audiences, and we have the social media to thank for being able to do that on a worldwide
Yeah, definitely.
note. And so I definitely can see this being on a larger level in my life, because I definitely want to reach the masses
Yeah.
with the message. There has to be hope. People are losing hope. The suicide numbers are increasing, and I know I watch Facebook a lot when I see people post, and the blessing of having 5,000 friends, as well as
Mm-hmm.
um the people that I follow, like I try to pay attention to what's going on around me, even in my communities. And I've seen a lot of people post about not feeling worthy or feeling like they need to disappear. The pressures of life are too great, and especially women, men not so much, but I did have an opportunity to travel to Fayetteville to do a training recently, and one of the conversations was men don't feel like, they feel like if they were to express, that women will look down on them. And they also
Yeah.
shared about the dating experiences, how they felt like women being so independent has demised the role of men so much, to the point where they don't even try anymore. So they'd just rather be single. But when I'm opening my mouth to share, there are some women that still want a good man. There are
Yes.
some women that
Yes.
still want the man to lead. There are some women that thinks you're absolutely attractive because you are chocolate or of the browner skin. Like, this, don't throw yourself away because you think you had one bad apple, and or even a couple bad apples. Not all
Yeah.
the apples in the bag are bad, you know.
Yeah.
And so I try to use that as my platform to encourage the men, the women, as well as the children, because I feel like the respect factor for children has diminished. Them not knowing, they might know to honor the parent, but not necessarily knowing how to honor the parent. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like some things we just need to go back to. And so I use that platform to definitely get that word out.
That's great because, like you said, a lot of people, I think, and that's one of the things that me and Maurice, but Tobias bump heads with. Like, I get that men want that woman from back in the day that cooked and cleaned and took care of the house, and husband never had to worry about food not being on the table. But those women stayed home because the man took care of everything. So if you want me to be great grandma, you need to be great grandpa.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but
Yes.
I also don't want people to think that, for men to think that, I have to be in a box, that I can't be authentically who I'm supposed to be, and not be able to be who I'm supposed to be with you.
Right.
I can still be independent. I can still have my own businesses. I can still, you know, run my business and be what the young girls call a boss,
Right.
but come home and be a wife.
Right.
There's
You
room in
know
my
how to
life to be.
multitask.
I mean, being a mom is testament by itself
Right.
to more than one. Because you had five, I had two, and like went crazy. So I could only imagine having five.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, we don't have. I do know. Do you still do the Mary Kay?
Yes.
You do that, okay? What got you into Mary Kay, real quick?
I've always loved makeup. I've
Mm-hmm.
always loved hair, and so they actually fit. They were a great fit. I started doing hair when I was like 8 years old, and by the time I was 12, I had a clientele where I was traveling around Simpson and Grimesland with a little pocketbook looking hair dryer, doing hair with a briefcase with products in it, and so I would dibble and dabble in makeup, and I finished hair school in 1995, which I was 19, and I was dating a guy. Uh, his last name was Thompson, and his mother was into Mary Kay, and me and her had such a wonderful relationship. She introduced me to it, and she would take me to shows with her, and she was doing the doggone thing. Okay, she was trying to get her pink Cadillac, and I fell in love with Mary Kay. She introduced me. I fell in love with it, and throughout the years, I've been in and out,
Hmm.
but I've never left the makeup part of it. So
Yeah.
even when I wasn't building the team, I was still using the product. So
Hmm.
her name was Lola Thompson, and her son that I was dating at the time was Alkawan Thompson, Alky, as they called him, and his brother name was Bershawn. I'm pretty sure you remember Bershawn Thompson.
Yes.
And
That was my brother's teammate on
yes,
basketball. Yes. Shout out to Bashan.
yes.
I know Bashan.
And so Miss Lola was always well put together, always looking pretty. I don't care where she went. And she would always tell me, I don't care where you going, always look good. When you first wake up, she used to tell me, my husband don't know what it looked like for me not to have my makeup on. I don't know. I wake up before he do, and I get my makeup on, and I do my hair, and I get dressed. And I was like, I want to be like her when I grow up. She was like, my model at the time was Claire Huxtable. She was a Claire
Right?
Huxtable to me, right?
Now
And her
you
husband, Mr. Bobby, was Cliff.
so do you know
And
what it
so
reminds me of? That scene. You know the scene on Different World after Whitney and Bobby got I mean Whitney and Bobby, Lord. Whitney and Dwayne got married.
Whitney and Dwayne.
And she
Uh-huh.
woke up and went to the bathroom. She brushed her teeth and smacked her face, get her the blush going, and smoothed out her
Yes.
hair, and then went and laid on a pillow. And she had her hair laid out. He's like,
Uh-huh.
that's it.
Those were
But
the
now I
best
will
TV
tell you,
shows.
now that I am all for it, but I will tell you, my husband knows exactly what I look like without makeup.
I know
Exactly.
that's right.
I
And
mean, I
after
told we were in the military together, so he already know. I'm a very physical person. I'm
hmm
still, my dad would be like, "Girl, I got that." Still throw it over my shoulder because I feel like if you stop using it, you're gonna
yeah,
lose. And
that's
so I
right.
still try to keep my strength. I still try to be just as active. Knees ain't as good as they used to be. You know what I'm saying? I can still give Megan a run for her money, but
I know that's
we're gonna
right.
win in the end. You know what I'm saying? But
Yes.
but lastly, so how do you stay? But we got about 4 minutes. How do you stay motivated with your spoken word and your businesses that you have? How do you just for those of us who struggle day to day, and I'm talking about making sure the house is clean, making sure the food is done, making sure everything is in its place. And I do suffer sometimes where my house be a mess, and I gotta wait till Saturday to make sure my house gets together. How do you stay motivated with all that stuff going on to still be Monique?
Um, well, I had to adopt a couple of things in my life. And the first thing I would say is, one, whatever happens today, God willing. That was the first thing,
Mhm,
because I would always try to have this perfect life, and I was hurting myself trying to be
mhm,
this perfect person. And so I had to accept, like, I make check off lists usually on Sunday night, Saturday, like for my next week. And then come Monday, I might get two things done off my check off list. And so I said I celebrate my wins. I did 2 out of 10 versus 0 out of 10. Yay for
yeah,
me, right?
yeah, mhm,
The second thing is I don't beat myself up anymore where I used to, for not finishing things. Now I finish to give me closure at the end of the day. But like if I
mhm.
don't get my house clean, which I do have a motto now, I gotta have my dishes washed, trash taken out,
Oh,
because
yeah,
it might be an
definitely.
emergency, right? Might be an emergency. But I try to live by the thing where if somebody stops by, I'm okay with them coming in, having to use
Yeah,
the bathroom. So I
mhm,
keep certain rooms absolutely spotless, try to the
yeah,
best of my ability. I ain't saying it always spotless, but I try. But even in that, the trying part of being a mom and the housekeeper and the businesswoman, some things I just say, and that can wait till tomorrow.
yep,
And that can wait till tomorrow. And I'm
yep,
not saying put everything off till tomorrow, but there are some anxieties that I created in myself that I was hurting myself more than I was helping myself.
yeah,
So I do the things that are important. I do the things that are priority. But I also try to be a better manager of my time and not let other people take my time. And so, and those things are the things that I have just predicated in my life to help me stay motivated. But the ultimate motivation, it comes from within. Like my children are my motivator, but sometimes they don't always appreciate the stuff I'm giving. They don't always say thank you, mom. So I have to have this internal drive to make it do what it do. And so I have affirmations that I speak over my life in the morning, and that's my
Mhm.
powwow. Like I do my prayer, I do my affirmations, and I'm out the door. Like even when I don't have my hair, I put her on or take her off. I'll be like, okay, we're gonna put a little lip gloss on and keep it moving. We're not wearing Mary Kay all day today, but I will do my
Exactly.
skincare, right?
Yep.
But then when I hit the ground, I I purposely say when I get to where I'm gonna change the room. And
Yeah.
that's my motivation. I'm gonna, if I don't do nothing but touch one life, I'm gonna touch that one life.
Touch that
If I
life
don't
and
do
keep going.
anything but turn this around, this one thing. If I can't do anything but turn this one thing around, and that is definitely my motivation.
Well, now I will say we're gonna go ahead and for the radio's purposes because they ended at 11 o'clock. We're gonna say thank you to Monique for joining us tonight. For those that keep it in 100, we'll be back next week. So the radio show may disconnect now, but because we're on our virtual streaming service, we can keep going for a few more minutes. But I do want to ask you, so like you just said, so I shouldn't feel bad about. I don't feel like folding this little laundry right now. I'm just gonna sit right here because, and let me tell you, that's one of the veins of my existence is doggone laundry that I got to keep washing clothes. Like it ain't but two of us in the house, but this girl would change clothes 3-4 times a day. And I'm like,
Oh,
why are there so
oh,
many dirty clothes? And so I go wash.
well,
I'm like, okay, this is just gonna. And what my biggest pet peeve of her coming in my bedroom and looking through the basket to get something. And I'm like, why don't you just put it up
right.
versus waiting for me to do it? But anyway, I want to say this as far as the Mary Kay thing. When I told my sister told me your face stayed beat all the time. Your makeup was
You're so
always
sweet.
great. So I would love to see a Monique tutorial to have a bunch of sisters come in and teach about because your skin is just glowing. Like even now,
Oh,
your skin is going to come in and
thank
do
you.
just do a little class on hey, this is for just beginners. Get this done. Do your hair, put your hair back. Do this skin routine. If you want makeup, then use the products to use. What works best for other people. What best works best for light skin, dark skin, or whatever. And then for
Hmm.
those of us who want to kind of devil into the you know,
Color.
colors and stuff. Like,
Yes.
hey, because I watch the tutorials, but like for me, I don't know what kind of contour stick to buy, what kind of blush to buy, what kind of foundation is going to work the best for me, how to get rid of like pores and uh, all those things. So, I mean, I've heard that you're good at what you do. So that could be a
I
thing that
will be glad.
Monique could bring to the room. Also, Keeping 100 is going to do in Greenville. We're going to do a podcast with select people, and we're just going to talk about life,
Hmm.
relationships, sex, uh, uh, Christianity. We're just gonna throw everything in the pot, and we're just gonna have a conversation. But we want people who are gonna bring not only a positive message, but they're gonna know how to deliver that message and get and touch people with what they say, not just a bunch of rhetoric. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
so we would love for you to come back. We would
Oh,
love
I'll
for
be
you to
glad
do it.
to.
And we want you to start telling us when you're going to be having your spoken word event so that I would love for Tamara says sip and talk. See, she trying to get stuff
Okay.
started.
There it
See,
is.
she likes to get stuff started. That whole sip and
Mm-hmm.
talk. She's been saying that for a while, which I think it'd be a great idea. And that's one of
Mm-hmm.
the things we're trying, to have people because we're all about cooking. Like you said, my mom, we're all about cooking. And so putting a little, hors d'oeuvres together with some wine and sip and talk and having grown folk conversation,
Yes.
that's what we want to do. But we also want you to let us know when you're going to be having these events in Greenville, in Washington, Raleigh, wherever you may be, so that we can come and join. Because Keeping It
Okay.
100 would definitely come, and we love to, get some footage. do some interviews with the audience that are coming out, after they've
Mhm.
seen the show, so you can get positive reviews. Do interviews with the artists so they can tell where they're, what they're doing and who they are and things like that. And even though you're already sold out, I'm going to talk to Houston and see what we doing. He says, is it the 20th or the 20? What do you say? What,
24th.
24th? See what
Mhm.
we got busy, what we got going on, and see if we can, slide down there.
I, I
I know y'all booked. We're gonna
I see
slide
if I can
down
get
and
y'all some backstage passes or
see.
something.
See, that's what I'm talking about. It ain't always what you know, it's who you know. But yeah,
Yes,
I definitely,
yes,
Monique, I have enjoyed talking to you tonight. Like literally kindred spirits, because I
yes.
love your essence. I love your spirit. You are funny. I can just imagine you on stage. I would love in the YouTube videos.
Not from poetry.
Come
No.
on, Monique.
No. I told you I'm getting back out there. I'm definitely going to get back out there. I'm working on it
You
as we
should
speak.
definitely have some YouTube videos and go ahead and build your following on YouTube and all these other social platforms. So your baby girl, I rely on my baby girl. She's 15. They do all
Yes.
about that virtual world. I rely on her for stuff like that. Your daughter that's going to California, prayers up to her. Hopefully she does exceedingly well when while she's gone.
Thank you.
But talking to her about the business side of it, yeah, you already got people in your corner willing to help you. You just
Yeah,
gotta dive in there.
my baby girl said, "Mom, you need to come off Facebook. That's for old folks." I said, "Well,
Oh,
I guess I'm old
my daughter, I
because
said,
I love me
baby,
some Facebook." She
look,
said, "No,
look
you need to be on Instagram and TikTok,
on
okay? Because
TikTok.
that's not it. That's not Facebook. That's not it."
She's literally trying to get me to join all of my accounts so that when I go live, it goes live on all of them. Because I'll send her stuff, but it'll be
Wow.
a Facebook video. I can't see that. I ain't got no Facebook page. I'm like, said, don't
My daughter
nobody
said,
like don't nobody 20 and under got a Facebook page. I'm
"That's
like,
what she said. That's what she
okay,
said."
whatever.
So they
But
must be
she
singing the same song.
look, she joined like last week just because she can never see anything I send her. So she just created a Facebook page with no content, just her picture and who she is. That's it.
Wow.
Just so she can see videos. But yeah, I think YouTube is your probably one gonna be your best friend. YouTube, and she's right. Twitter, Instagram, all of those are gonna be your best friend about getting yourself out there, especially to if you got like 2,000 followers. How many 5,000 followers?
5,000 friends
Girl.
and 200
And
followers, something
get
like
them to
that.
just share that. Just share it. But I will be talking to you offline about this whole sip and talk that Tamara's
Sipping
talking
salt.
about, and you can give us some more
Yes.
of that. Uh,
I say for the sipping salt then.
right? Yes, you said save that for us, so we can
Yes.
sit. But we're gonna try to get more interviews, and I want to come down to any of the other spoken word artists. And you said War. What was the other gentleman's name?
The only one that I'm affiliated with right now is War.
Okay,
War is Words and Rhythm by Ethan Armstrong. And I
Ethan
want
Lawson.
to say I'll send you his flyer.
Mm-hmm.
So that if you want to reach out to him about the 24th event, you can.
Okay.
That's the only one I'm affiliated with at this moment because Brad is on pause.
Okay.
Brad
Okay.
Boyd is the other one. Brad Boyd, it's called B Boyd Entertainment. He's
Mm-hmm.
not doing spoken word events right now.
Okay. Okay. Well, definitely just hit me up and definitely send us a flyer with anything that you got going on. Send it to my messenger. Whenever you send it to us, I'll make sure I post it on our social media, our website, and mention it on the show so that anybody's watching, especially from Greenville. A lot of our family and followers are from Greenville, so they'll see what's
Okay.
going on, and hopefully they'll come out and support you. Okay.
Well, thank you. I
Thank you,
appreciate
darling. I
you.
really appreciate you coming on the show. I have enjoyed every single moment of talking to you. You are an amazing person. I thank you so much for just blessing us, one, with your presence, and two, for your poem. Yeah, yeah. You gonna
You're
make me break
welcome,
out
and
my
thank
pen
you
and
for
paper.
having me.
You gonna make me break out my pen and paper again.
Go ahead. Go ahead so it can hit you real good. But thank you
Look,
so much for having me. And I look forward to collabing with you. So keep me
yes,
posted as
ma'am.
well.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you guys so much for joining Keeping It 100 tonight. Our special guest, Miss Monique, aka Mo'Vybe Green, was in the building. We love her. We appreciate her coming on. Thank you guys. We will see you guys next week. Take care. Bye, Monique.
Bye bye.